Hello, guys. This episode was an episode that I've been waiting for a long time. It was very, very satisfying. Not everything was solved. Not everything has been resolved yet, but it was a good step. We're making progress, guys. We're making progress. 19 episodes in, now for me finally gets to clear his name, or at least able to clear his name to the other heroes, which is the more important audience that he needs to clear things up with. So during this episode, a Pope reveals that weapon he's using, that did that strong beam judgment attack, is basically a replica of all the weapons. It's able to change its form: the bow, shield, sword, whatever. And right now it's using, the sword and a spear or whatever. It was something that I guess a long time ago they were experimenting with, and they finally made something to replicate the hero's weapons, but it was lost and somehow surfaced again. Maybe it was something kept hidden by the church throughout history for them to fulfill their agendas, and now's the time to use it. I'm not exactly sure why the church decided to do this at all, though. It just, to me, it's kind of weird, because they need the heroes to to fight the waves, and the king and the kingdom summoned them, right? They summoned them because they needed their help. So to me, it seems like the church, of course, now we know that the church is kind of working independently from the secular kingdom kind of thing, and so I guess they have their own goals and all that. And my guess is that the church is really just trying to take over, and so there's a conflict between the church and state, the shield hero and the church, the shield hero and the state, and it's just like one big messy political strife. But anyways, so yeah, basically this weapon was what the bow and the sword heroes, this is what they were looking for in their research in the archives of the church. And it seems like the church was catching on to, where they were going, and so they decided to lay out a trap, which ultimately failed. So they come in and help them out, which I kind of predicted from last episode. I didn't know how they would be able to survive that beam attack, but what we learn is that the Queen's Guard helped them out, which was a good thing, I guess. It makes sense, because I don't think they could have gotten out of that by themselves. They don't really have the defensive capabilities. Like, Naofumi seems like the only guy who's able to tank all those attacks. And so, yeah, so good on them. Hopefully they'll get to see the queen, and maybe they'll be indebted to them and, go in her favor, which I'm sure they will. But, yeah. Basically, Naofumi then, he lays it out. He talks to them. He's like, all right, you guys made all these mistakes. You guys are horrible heroes. Like, I don't know, he's been having to clean up their messes this whole time. Yeah, and it's one of those feel good moments, right? It's not the same as them having fun and relaxed, celebrating, but this is like, oh my gosh, like, these guys finally just they get a slice of humble pie. They like, everything they thought they were, like sure, if they were in a actual video game, they'd be good at it. They'd be owning things, killing monsters, leveling up, saving towns. But as we know in all these isekai animes, there is an element of the video game in there in real life, which makes it cool, but there's also an element of reality and the truths that go with basically all our realities, right? The common themes that we have to go through, they basically have to go through it too. So I think these heroes were a little naive, and Naofumi was correct. I like how Philo points out that it was all the spear hero's fault. As much as I would like to blame him solely, because he definitely did probably the most damage out of the other heroes in terms of, like, he's tried to kill Naofumi multiple times. He's basically been following Myne blindly this whole time, and could have probably prevented a lot of things that would have happened to Naofumi. Naofumi was correct in saying, those two, they aren't any better, right? They did not think for themselves. Because they are pretty smart people, right? Like, looking at them, they would be good at video games. They'd probably good in their former lives that they're in, but they kind of let this hero thing get to their heads, and they could have prevented a lot from happening too, and it took a lot for them it took a lot for them to finally realize what was going on. Naofumi basically says that, all of them are, no different to him than, what the Pope is, because the Pope, he also manipulates people. He, abuses his power for personal gain. He, doesn't really think about others and stuff like that. And most importantly, they try to, separate him from his, his friends, right? Now, Raftalia, Philo, and even Melty, like, that's probably his biggest grudge out of all, right? Because he's been carrying that burden of the world hating him this whole time. But the one thing that, that keeps him sane are his companions with him. And so that's probably like the worst kind of aggressions against him that he will take to heart. So I'm glad they're all working together now. I'm curious to see what they will come up with in terms of battle combos, because we kind of recently in these past couple of episodes learned about these combo moves, and we also see how significantly stronger they are than just hero characters fighting by themselves. So if you imagine the heroes actually doing combo moves together, like we're probably going to see some very powerful moves that that probably surpass a lot of what we've seen so far. So I'm excited to see what they'll come up with, because the Pope has a massive amount of mana stored up from all these followers, but as we can see, these followers are dropping like flies. They're not going to last that long, and basically, all these guys need to do is just keep raking on that barrier. Naofumi just tanks the attacks, and eventually they should win. I think they should. Naofumi is using the Rage Shield. We don't see those weird lines, creeping up on his face, which might be the corrosion that Vittoria was talking about. And so, it looks like he's fine for now, but he's been using it for a while now to tank all those attacks. So I imagine that it's going to take a toll, if not now, very soon, in the future battles to come, because he is kind of spamming that ability now. All in all, this was a pretty simple episode. Basically, we learned that the heroes survived. The Pope explains his intentions. Naofumi lays it out on them while the Pope kind of just stands there and waits for them in a way. And then now we get the next episode, hopefully we'll get to see them fight, everyone together. Even Myne's in this, so it's kind of weird seeing Myne in here, like fighting alongside Naofumi, because we all know that, she's probably going to get punished after this. And and she doesn't seem like she's worried about that right now. I guess this is all about survival at this point. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think of this episode. Do you think they'll be able to beat the Pope? Like, the four of them? I think so. If they're dependent on, defeating the wave, and if they're so, important to saving the world, they have to beat this. Like, the Pope is strong right now with that weapon, but it seems like it'll have some weaknesses, and it's very limited, and it's in the Pope's hands, not in some super strong warrior's hands like Glass or the Vittoria or something. So I think they'll figure out a way, and hopefully after this they'll get all the political stuff figured out. The Naofumi will be able to clear his name. The world will probably hopefully stop hating him, and we can finally focus on getting stronger for the wave. They can hopefully class up and all that too. And because based on the last wave, they just barely made it. So I'm assuming this one will be exponentially harder, and so they're gonna need some time to train and work up these combo moves that I feel like are coming. So hit me with a like. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content, and I will see you guys next episode. Bye bye.